jump into a hole in a frozen lake and learn how to climb themselves out, and she said that I would have to teach the students that. For those of you that know me, you know that I'm not really good in cold weather, so...
Yeah, I'm tired. It's time to go. Because I'm not doing that, bro. Where's the restroom? I need to use the restroom or something.
Imagine. Just imagine this, right? Going on a field trip with American students to Sweden, and y'all tell them to do that.
Yeah, the complaints and
half of them gonna get on the phone with their mama. And,
right.
And
they'll be like, do what? Jump in who? Get someone else to do it. What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchet REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction. Super excited about this video. If you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell
because we're on the road to 100K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, alright? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
The first thing to know about Swedish schools is they have an extreme lack of qualified educators here in this country. So as an American coming from the States with a master's in teaching, it was very, very easy for me to find a job here in Sweden. And actually, having worked in 2 different schools, both schools were very, very easy to apply for and actually get the job. So if you're qualified to work with kids, it's really, really easy to get a job as a teacher over here. And that is one thing to consider. When you're around the schools, a lot of times they have to bring in long-term substitutes and have people work at the schools that aren't necessarily qualified teachers to fill in a lot of roles because teachers are in such high demand here in Sweden. In terms of grades, Swedish schools are...
He came out swinging. I didn't see that coming though.
I wouldn't have expected that for Sweden.
I feel you.
So, how is the teaching industry? Do people not want to become teachers? Do you all have teachers where the teacher's been teaching for 50-something years? Like, when did that change? Because I know I used to have some old teachers and new teachers. Everybody, like, let's say our graduating class, a good bit of those, I would say like 25% of my graduating class are teachers now.
Yeah.
So...
what is the highest rate of teaching, like, for a teacher to stick with one school? You know what I'm saying? Like, how long does that last? 5 years? 10 years? Do they last like the principal last? You know what I'm saying? So that is a good question to know about. Yeah. I didn't see that come. I thought Sweden had like everything locked just about.
Yeah, because the way y'all take care of a lot of things is like, we good over here.
Big facts,
you know, so let us know about that. What's going on with the teaching industry?
Yeah, do y'all need Sierra?
No, y'all don't.
Do y'all need...
Sierra has retired.
She retired from teaching? You silly, bro.
Much, much different than American schools. And the American way is much simpler in my opinion because we use points and percentages. If there's an assignment and you get 9 out of 10, you've got 90% on that assignment. True. And over the course of a term, you'll have lots of assignments and your overall percentage of what you've got, of the total points, is going to determine your grade. In Sweden, it is completely different. It's based on a rubric system. So basically the Swedish government has a list of skills that the students need to accomplish, and if they are able to accomplish a skill at a certain level, we fill in the bubbles. So almost every skill has 3 levels, and in each level you can fill in a yellow, green, or red if the student...
Okay, so we have a rubrics system for pre-K and kindergarten, but after kindergarten
cuts off and you gotta handle your business.
You get the grade point averages.
Yeah, again, I think that would be a little easier to write. Like, you can focus on what needs to be addressed. You know what I'm saying, and achieved, so the students can easily come out and say that I'm able to do this now because I've been taught to, instead of going through worksheet to worksheet to worksheet to worksheet.
Yeah.
And then you got an F, and you're like, no, you don't know the work.
But I turned in all my work.
I turned in all my work. Well, but I like the scale sheet, though. Like, it do work in favor, you know?
And it's also like that with the kindergartner and the pre-kindergartner. It's the skills and whether or not they achieved it, approaching, or they mastered it.
Yeah, so for us, it's like that. We have the kindergarten and the
pre-K.
The beginners.
Yeah.
Like, once it's done, that's it. Like, you got to... And
there's a pros and cons to using the percentages like what we do in the upper grades. I feel like the child may have turned in all the work, may have gotten it correct on some assignments, but it don't really address whether the child learned a skill or not.
I think they should hold on to it.
Yeah, I think they should do both.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like both.
Hasn't accomplished that skill yet. So that is one thing to keep in mind, that the grades are completely different, and it took me some time to wrap my head around it because I first looking at this grade book going greens and yellows and reds and different levels, and I'm like, how am I supposed to give this kid a grade, an A, B, or C? And essentially, for a kid to get an A in a class, they need to have all greens at the advanced level of a skill. If they cannot do every single skill on the rubric at the advanced level, then they cannot achieve an A in the class. Also along the line of grades, students can actually get an E grade here in Sweden. They've got A through F, which includes the E, and in America, we do not have an E grade. It's just A through D, and then F means fail. Another difference that is different here in the schools in Sweden is that the student schedules are...
The E must be exhausted.
The E is like,
After
y'all
F,
just
you
didn't
feel
learn
like
nothing.
I'm exhausted. I can't teach this child no more. Ain't nothing I can tell. I'm joking.
What the E
But yeah,
mean?
what is the E actually? Put that in the
What
comments.
happens?
Yeah, what is that?
They stay in the same grade? What happens?
Summer school? I mean,
if they ain't learned it all year, what is summer school gonna do?
I'm so exhausted.
much different than what you might be used to in America. In America, it's much simpler. Like in high school, for example, you've got 6 classes a day, each one's an hour long, and you go to the classes, you go class to class, and then you get done at the same time every day. Well, that is not the case in Sweden. The schedules here are all over the place. They can be really, really confusing to navigate until you get used to it at first. But essentially, the schedules, the kids can get out at different times every day. They can have different breaks in the middle of the day for different amounts of time. So it's a lot less structured and the same every day like it is in American schools. The kids have a variety in their schedule where it is basically a different schedule every day over the course.
Is Sweden... We reacted to a video a while back. I don't remember. It could have been Denmark. And they had like PlayStations, gaming in the school.
I remember that.
Is that Sweden? Y'all let us know. And let us know how is this beneficial? Because there's a reason for everything.
It is,
So, yeah.
To the week. And to go along with the scheduling in Sweden, it's actually the teachers that move from class to class, and the students are usually housed in a single classroom. And that's completely the opposite back in the States, because usually teachers have their own room in America, and the students will go from class to class visiting each teacher. So it is a different way of doing it. The teachers, basically their home base, they have teacher rooms. I'm grouped right now in a room with 5 other teachers, and that's where we go between lessons or when we have our planning time. But as a teacher, I actually prefer to have my own classroom, so that is one thing that I prefer about the American system, but there are definitely advantages to doing it both ways. One thing that kind of surprised me about Swedish schools, and in particular private schools, is at Swedish private schools, the students do not have to pay to attend. It's actually illegal to charge students for school at the lower grades. So all of the private schools are funded by the government, and the government actually gives the schools a certain amount of money based on how many students are attending the school, which was kind of mind-boggling for me, because in America, most times private schools are very, very expensive, and just that is one difference that kind of took me by surprise when I first started working in the Swedish school system. In terms of my situation specifically being a PE teacher, there are a ton of activities that we're doing here in Sweden that I never had training in America, and that I never did in school as a student, such as a lot of the winter activities. We've been able to do ice skating with our class, a lot of nature activities like going hiking in the woods and being able to orient yourself. Swimming is a big part of the PE curriculum here in Sweden. Dance is a big part of the curriculum here in Sweden as well for PE. I never remember having a lot of dance going through school myself in my own PE classes, but I actually had to teach dance at my previous school. So there are a lot of things that are different in terms of the curriculum, and especially some of the winter activities. Having to teach ice skating, I've got a lot of students in my class that are actually better at ice skating than I am, because I've only done it a few times in my entire life, and I've got several hockey players in my class that are just skating circles around me. But you just learn to adapt and make the most of it. but it's been a really, really cool journey to teach some different things that I would have never had the chance to teach in America. When I interviewed for my new job, the principal had talked about one winter safety activity where the students are actually going to have to jump into a hole in a frozen lake and learn how to climb themselves out, and she said that I would have to teach the students that. For those of you that know me, you know that I'm not really good in cold weather, so...
Yeah, I'm tired. It's time to go. Because I'm not doing that, bro. Where's the restroom? I need to use the restroom or something.
Imagine. Just imagine this, right? Going on a field trip with American students to Sweden, and y'all tell them to do that.
Yeah, the complaints and the
half of them gonna get on the phone with their mama. And,
right.
And
they'll be like,
what?
Do what? Jump in who? Get someone else to do it. Because I ain't doing it.
No.
Not happening.
No, I don't even know about the states that are used to the cold weather. I don't think they gonna do that.
Nah, it's a challenge though. I mean, if I get a grade E for it, give me an E. Cause look.
But I understand it. Learning how to get out of it.
This is your nature. This is your surroundings.
Yeah, y'all culture. I understand that.
Yeah.
And we did see Joanna.
The lady with the
she was
daylight
showing us the weather,
Mm-hmm.
and she was bathing, doing her ice baths and all
what
that.
She actually loves to do is actually a second nature, first nature really. Like they get in that cold water and they don't think twice about it. So
yeah, I don't see us doing that.
Let me just say it like this: had I been in class, that's something I would not be interested in.
Oh, baby,
doing 100% because, like you said,
that look dangerous.
American students would have been out there complaining, bro. We would have been on our look.
Especially
last
from
leg.
the south.
Last leg on that one. I don't know.
We used the warm weather.
Activity where the students are actually going to have to jump into a hole in a frozen lake and learn how to climb themselves out, and she said that I would have to teach the students that. For those of you that know me, you know that I'm not really good in cold weather, so that's something that I'm not really excited about doing, is jumping into a freezing cold lake. Maybe you'll see a video of me in the future having to teach that to the students. But yeah, it was really surprising at first. I thought she was actually joking on the interview, but it turns out that she was completely serious. So that is something that I will be teaching at the schools here in Sweden: water safety and how to rescue yourself if you happen to fall into a frozen lake. And one thing that has absolutely surprised me about teaching here in Sweden is the amount of planning time that teachers get. In America, teachers basically get one period or about an hour a day to plan all of their lessons. And in Sweden, the contact time with the students is only about 20 hours every week. So there is a ton of time as a teacher here in Sweden to plan lessons and just go all out and really make those lessons as good as possible, because you have a ton of planning time. You can do grades, you can read into the students, check in how they're doing, send emails, which is really, really nice that that time is built into the school day. And for example, on Tuesdays, I do not have a single class. The entire day, every Tuesday, is just to plan lessons. So that is something that I absolutely love about teaching in Sweden. You do get a lot of planning time, which is completely mind-blowing compared to what I was used to back in the States. As a first-year teacher, the pay is about comparable to what I'd be making whether I was teaching in Vancouver, Washington, or Portland, Oregon, where I was obtaining my master's in teaching credentials. The pay is just about the same, but one thing to consider is that the taxes here in Sweden are much, much higher overall than what I would be paying back in the US. So I actually would take home more money in the US, but then again, you also have to consider the cost of living, and I would probably be spending a lot more money in the US compared to the living situation that I have here. I'm able to afford this apartment at a much cheaper rate than I would be paying to live in Portland or Vancouver, my hometowns back in the US. Another thing, since we're talking about money, in Sweden, the teachers actually have a lot of bargaining power to negotiate their own salary. And this is something that I was completely unfamiliar with, because in America, they basically pay you according to the salary schedule, and you don't really have a lot of room to ask for a raise or say that you think you deserve more money based on the work that you've been doing. And in Sweden, pretty much all of the salaries are negotiated. And with that in mind, because teachers are such an in-demand profession, they do have a lot of bargaining power, and they're able to earn more money in a lot of instances. And in my case, I feel like I'm being paid very, very fairly for a first-year teacher. And so the money that they offered me, I didn't feel like I needed to bargain a much higher salary. But in the future, if I continue to do a good job and I grow and become a better teacher over the years, that is something that's really, really nice to have that option to ask for a higher salary, because in the US, you pretty much get what you get, and you don't really have a lot of say or a lot of ways of increasing that. So that is something nice that I really appreciate, is that ability to negotiate.
They hit us with that starting pay, take it or don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you sure? Like, you can negotiate, but there's thin lines to it. Because if you go too high, they'll say, they're going to cut your water short. They're going to be like, we just can't have you. You're not a fit for us.
And we have shared our thoughts on that. Like, teachers deserve way more. Way more.
They got an important job.
They have one of the most important jobs of anybody in the United States. You know, they're teaching the next generation, all the generations. You know.
And if y'all really want to get involved in that, I'm talking about from all the other, like from sports to safety. Like when it comes to salary. Some people are getting paid more to entertain than some people are that's actually growing your children and helping them become the doctors that we need in the world today, and the lawyers we know. The lawyers. Oh, I was going to go on now. They got plenty of things. Everybody. You know what I'm saying? So.
And represent yourself and ask for more money if you think that you're deserving of it. And the last thing, and this is one reason why I absolutely love teaching in Swedish schools, is lunch is completely free here. It's free for the students and the teachers. And coming from America and someone who didn't like to prepare lunch early in the mornings, I would basically a lot of times bring nuts and fruit and whatever I could find lying around the fridge. That would basically be my lunch every day in the States. And here in Sweden, I've been lucky that both schools I've worked at have had amazing school lunches, absolutely amazing. And the students actually eat with the teachers all in the large cafeteria. So it's really, really nice. You can talk to the students, bond with them a little bit, and enjoy the free food, because it's absolutely excellent. And that is one of the highlights for me teaching in Sweden, having that free lunch. So with that being said, those are
some cool
points. He likes to eat. Because he ended it with the food. I feel like that's something I would have did. Like, yo, one thing for sure, the food out here is bomb. You get it for free.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, that was some good perspectives.
Very
I like
good.
this list.
Yeah, you know? Very good. Different. You know, we had a few little hiccups. I was kind of curious about some things. Hope you guys caught the whole video. Y'all can catch the questions. You can drop in and help us out. Other than that,
yeah, go check his channel out.
Please.
We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our reaction request form is in our description box below. We'll see you soon.
Peace.